The bear cub was drowning. Ranger Adam spotted her clinging to a splitting branch in the middle of a flooded river, a terrified scrap of fur surrounded by violent, churning water. Each surge dragged her lower. One more and she'd vanish under the brown current forever. She cried out, high, sharp, impossibly small against the roar. Adam didn't hesitate. He tore off his pack and plunged into the river. The current slammed him sideways, lifting his legs, spinning him toward the rocks. He fought for footing, lungs burning, eyes locked on the cub as the branch beneath her cracked like a breaking bone. She slipped. Adam lunged, arms outstretched, catching her against his chest an instant before the river swallowed her whole. Water closed over both of them. The river didn't care who lived. But Adam did, and he was her only chance. By the time Adam staggered onto the rocks with the cub in his arms, the river had already carried away every trace of where she'd come from. He called out, scanning the tree-line for her mother, waiting for the thunder of paws or the flash of brown fur. Nothing answered. The storm carved new paths, uprooted pines, collapsed dens, land washed clean. If the mother bear had survived, she would have come to the cub's cries. But the forest stayed silent. Adam dried the cub by his fire, wrapping her in his jacket as she shivered uncontrollably. She was too small to be alone, too weak to survive a night outside. So he fed her warm milk, tucked her close to his boots, and promised himself he would keep her alive until nature, or her mother, reclaimed her. But the weeks passed. Then months. The mother never came. And when the cub was finally strong enough to walk back into the wild, Adam learned the hardest truth of all. Saving something means learning to let it go, even if it hurts. The river looked calm that morning, but the forest felt different, heavy, watchful, every branch remembering the storm. He followed the trail he'd carried the cub along months before, brushing frost from reeds and noting new erosion. Then the air shifted. A low grunt rolled across the river, deep, resonant, unmistakably bare. Adam froze, hand hovering over his radio. He scanned the far bank, expecting a fleeting shadow, maybe a warning silhouette he could slowly back away from. But what stepped out of the mist stopped his breath entirely. A massive female grizzly stood on the opposite shore, older, broader, her coat thick and clean. She wasn't the starving creature he'd pulled from the river as a baby. She was powerful. She was in the wilderness. And she was staring straight at him. Adam took one careful step back. The bear didn't growl, didn't bluff charge, didn't even lift her head. She simply stood there, unmoving, as if waiting for something. A twig snapped beside the rocks. Adam's pulse spiked. Two tiny cubs waddled into view, noses twitching, paws slipping on the wet stones. They bumped into their mother's legs, chirping softly. The mother bear nudged them closer to the river's edge. Closer to him. "No," Adam whispered. You're not bringing them to me." But she was. The larger cub toddled forward, sniffing the water, inching closer with clumsy confidence. The mother let out a low huff, not a threat, more like reassurance. The same kind of sound Adam had learned to make for the orphan cub that winter. The cubs splashed the water, their eyes fixed on him. The bear stepped aside. Her meaning was unmistakable, even without words. "I know you. I remember. They can trust you too." Adam's throat tightened. He slowly knelt, keeping his palms open, heart hammering. The cubs tipped their heads, inching closer, the river whispering between them. The mother watched, not tense, not fearful, but certain. This wasn't a warning. It was an invitation. The cubs reached the shallows first, splashing through icy water to a dry patch near Adam. One shook its fur, droplets sparkling in the morning light. The other sniffed the river stones, then looked up at him with curious eyes. Adam looked up at the mother bear, massive, unmoving, her breath curling into the mist. She didn't posture. Didn't huff a warning. Her shoulders relaxed, her weight evenly set, a quiet posture of permission. "Easy," Adam whispered, lowering himself until he sat on the cold ground. His hands stayed open on his knees. "Only if you want to." The bolder cub took another step. Its nose brushed his boot, warm breath puffing against the leather. Then a small, clumsy paw touched his shin, gentle, exploratory, innocent. Adam swallowed hard. He remembered another paw, much smaller, trembling against his fingers by the fire months ago. He'd held that orphaned cub until she fell asleep under his jacket. He looked back at the mother. "It's really you, isn't it?" She blinked slowly, almost a nod. The second cub shuffled forward, nudging its sibling aside to sniff its sleeve. The first one squeaked in annoyance and climbed halfway into his lap, draping itself over him like a soft, living blanket. Adam laughed under his breath, quiet, stunned, almost fragile. "You trust me with them?" A branch snapped across the river. All three bears lifted their heads. The mother stepped forward, slotting between Adam and the trees. She didn't roar or charge. She just watched, muscles coiled, ears pricked, ready to defend. This wasn't behavior from a wild animal toward a human. This was family instinct. The forest stayed still. After a long breath, the tension ebbed. The mother bear eased aside again, returning the space she'd given him. The cubs crawled all over Adam now, batting at his gloves, chirping, tugging the fabric like he was something familiar. Someone approved. In that moment, the truth settled in his chest. She hadn't brought her cubs to show them a human. She brought them to show them him. By sunrise, the river had quieted to a soft murmur. Mist drifted between the trees as the mother nudged her cubs back to her. Adam stood slowly, brushing mud from his hands, careful not to disturb the moment. The cubs protested with tiny grunts, stumbling back to her legs. She herded them gently, pausing once to look over her shoulder at Adam. Not as a warning, not as a farewell, but something softer. A recognition carried across seasons. Adam lifted a hand in a small wave. "Stay safe," he whispered. The mother bear held his gaze for 3 long breaths. Then she chuffed, a low warm sound, and turned toward the forest. The cubs followed, one tripping over its own paws, the other trotting confidently ahead. Just before the trees swallowed them, the mother stopped. She angled her head toward the riverbank, toward the very spot where Adam had once knelt beside a half-drowned cub and breathed warmth back into her trembling body. She remembered, and she wanted him to know. Adam felt his throat tighten. He stepped forward, placing his palm on the same cold stone he had used as a brace years ago. The river washed around it, steady and familiar. When he looked up again, the bears were gone, vanished into the green like they had never been there at all. But the forest wasn't empty. In the soft mud beside his boot, 3 fresh prints were pressed into the earth. 2 tiny ones, and one enormous. A silent message, left behind. Not goodbye. Not distance. Just this. Some bonds leave tracks you can follow for the rest of your life.